Right, everybody's talking about the boat down in Portland at the moment, or the barge, should I say. Now, that's got a bit of a history about it. I've just looked into it. Before Baby Line owned it, it was made and designed to house offshore workers on oil rigs. And then it was sold to the Baby Line in '82, and it was sent over to the Falklands to house people who I would assuming were helping with the rebuild or something to do with that of the island, because after the war it did need rebuilding, and there was also works going on to make a new base. Then it was moved again to New York, where it turned into a prison ship, and it was used there for quite some time. Then it made it back to the UK and was put down in Portland and was used as a prison ship there. Incidentally, a friend of mine who was I went to prison, and I was in a cell with a guy, and after I got let out, he was then moved down there. Apparently the questions you got were, do you get claustrophobic? No. And that was it. His feet didn't touch the ground, and the next thing he was on that boat. Now, they used to do their exercising up on the roof, and it still looks much the same now if you look at the pictures. Now, he said it was hot, he admitted that, and it wasn't the best accommodation, all right? But it's dry, you have clean bedding, you have you could stay there, all right? I mean, at the end of the day, it was originally built to house offshore workers, call it what you want, but it's not 5-star accommodation, which these little darlings are used to. Now, there's been some other questions that one of the residents of the area, who did sound like a bit of a lefty, and she didn't want to say that we don't want them here because they're migrants, because that wouldn't be good, but they were trying to give it the, oh well, there's only 2 entrances in and out of the actual boat. Well, fine, there was only ever 2 entrances in and out of the boat, I assume, when it was for or offshore oil rigs workers, whatever, and then obviously when it was a prison, but nobody seemed to say too much about it then. And then she said there's going to be 500 men on there and they're going to fight, but she didn't want to say why. And then when she was pressed, she said, I've got life experience. What she did want to say is that there's 2 different elements of Islam that are going to be held on that boat, and they generally don't get on with each other. What she also did say, this person on this, I think it was Sky News, is that there's 500 single men wandering around the locality would scare the locals, and bad things could happen. She was very subtle about the way she said it, but that was generally the up and down of it. So personally, I'd like to see every boat just systematically dragged back to France. Everyone never makes it. I don't want these people here. I don't feel I need to give them any charity. Some of them were from war, apparently, in I can't remember where it was, she did mention, but that's a very small proportion, and the rest of the people are not from war-torn country. But even if they are, when you look at people that have been through war, they come back with significant mental problems, and we're inviting that into our country, and that strikes me as a problem. But the truth of it is, I just don't want them in. Now, you can call me racist and bigoted, I don't really give a shit anymore if those words don't mean a damn thing. What I can see, though, is an army invading our country that we're paying for. And what's worse is, when you look at, during the winter time, how old people struggle to put heating on, or they struggle to feed themselves, exactly. And then when you look at, as I say, the people that serve this country that are on the streets in the winter, and I know that these people who we didn't want here, who none of us want our tax money paying for, which it will, and the exact bill is some astronomical amount of millions a day to house these people all up and down our country. Now, some parts of our country have seen just how great it is to have these people there, and what they've done, the crime, women running away from them, women being abused, all the rest of it, right? It's getting very hard for the left to turn the other cheek and look the other way and say it's all great. Many of them are, but a lot of them are having to come around to the truth. Many of them want charity for these people, but they want somebody else to pay for it. Well, that'd be a bit like socialism again, wouldn't it? And many of them want these people housed just not near them. Why? If they're so great, why wouldn't you want them near you? So you want them to live near somebody else who didn't want them, but you want them not near you. Yeah. To me, it seems like you actually know what these people are going to be like. That's why you don't want them anywhere near your place, and you don't want your house prices being devaluated, or you don't want somebody you know possibly being attacked. But it's all right to happen to the cheap seats somewhere else where you're never going to see it. Yeah. And this is the problem with lefty virtue signaling. It's generally going to get people hurt, and it's generally going to bring harm to the country and its inhabitants. But there you go. This is what they want. And there's so many of these MPs up and down the country who want to do well. They want to climb up the social scoring ladder, you know, the virtue signaling ladder, the one that, look at me, aren't I wonderful, I'm a great person. And they want to come out and they want to put the rainbow flag on, and they want to go out there and stand for every cause going. And then when somebody comes out to protest about migrants, they want to call them the far right and say how they greatly defeated them. Although the people that come out and protest against the far right are usually some left-wing hit squad that can get up to all sorts of stuff. And the far right, as you call it, are usually the neighbours of the area who are generally shitting themselves at the possibility of what these people could be like and what impact they're going to have on their society, and who could blame them. No, this is all going to get worse and worse until eventually it will end up in conflict. And I'm at this point, I understand just how much that the people in government, the people that do research, the people that look into all these things in the future, what it will be like now, what it will be like in 10 years, they know exactly what it's going to be like. So they're actually helping make this happen. And if that is the case, if they're actively working against the country's best interests, then I think there's a word for that. Let me guess. No, I'll let you say it in the comments. But there we go. So things are literally not going to stop, and voting won't make a difference. Because, well, let's be honest, when any of these MPs or politicians or whatever it is make it into power, they promise the world. They say they're going to do this, they do that, and all the rest of it, but they never ever follow up, and they never get held to account. Can you imagine if an MP got into a position of power and you said, right, you said you're going to do this, 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 and this. If you haven't made a decent effort to try and get these things done within the 5 years that you're in, we're going to dock a shed load of your money. Let's see how much they would actually then actively try and do what it is they were meant there or put there to do. But at the moment, it just seems that whoever we vote for, whoever we get in, feed us full of lies, never do anything in our interest, and then after that time, either get voted out and we get another idiot, or stay in and say, oh, well, that was unlucky, better luck next time, I'll try harder. And we fall for it. Yeah, the illusion of democracy is, the veil's getting thin, shall we say. But it is what it is. And most people want somebody else to come out and do something about it. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to make the effort. They don't want to look like a bad person in front of other people or potentially lose their job. Now, I've temporarily switched jobs at the moment. Now, the company I'm working for at the moment, if they find out that I'm doing videos or who I am, probably would have me up the road. But it doesn't really matter, because I would go back to the old job, which is always open to me, and I'd probably be on more money. This is just a break that I'm doing for a very short while. But when I look around these companies, every time they've needed more staff, they've literally gone abroad with the agency and handpicked a load of Romanians or Latvians or the Polish or whatever. And these companies are now in some places 60 or 70% foreign in a British country. All because they wanted cheap labour and they wanted to exploit the people from these countries because, well, it's a lot more money than they were on. But it's not exactly working out anymore, because I was sat in a room the other day and they were putting to the vote about their wage increases, and these foreigners, they get clued up very quickly and they realise what their rights are, and then basically they come just like the British workers. Actually, I know what I'm worth and I'm not working for less. So it doesn't really work out in the end. So the expense of getting them over here pays off for a little while. And then after a while, they get clued up because they get westernised. The British tell them that, actually, mate, you know, you should be getting paid more, or your standards should be better, or this, or whatever. And it kind of backfires. But there it is. Right, well, anyway, I'm going to try and get back to work. I'll see you in a bit.